Hello, my name is Matthew, and this is my wife Heather and my daughter Madison.
We're going to talk a little bit today about our son Zayn. He was born June 6th, 2015. We found out at 20 weeks with him that he had thanatophoric dysplasia, which is a fatal form of dwarfism. So we went in for our 20-week anatomy scan. To us, we'd never seen an ultrasound. Everything looked great, 10 fingers, 10 toes. So we were fine, we were happy. And then a little while later, a doctor came in and looking at the scans, which we thought was normal, and then he grabbed me by the arm and was like, "We're gonna get through this." And we had no idea what he meant by that. So that was a little scary. They started talking about termination, and that was never an option for us going into the pregnancy. We refused all the testing. We never thought that we would ever have any reason to terminate. But when you're in this situation and everything is just kind of spinning around you and out of control, and people are throwing that at you as if that's your only choice, and it gets that I think was scary. To think that was something we would even consider, and we did. We considered it because we felt like maybe that was our only choice. Not knowing and understanding that he was definitely going to die, I think I was more afraid of what if he lived, and how would we handle what would happen if he lived, and how would it be to have this child who was hooked up to all these machines and all these things. And I think that was scary too. Put us under a lot of pressure. We had basically 3 days to make the decision about what we were going to do with our pregnancy. That night we decided that we were not going to terminate our pregnancy, that decision wasn't really ours to make. And we knew that at that point that the weight that we were carrying was because we were given a decision, we were given this weight by the world, but that really wasn't God's to give us. That we don't really hold life and death in our hands, and God chose to give Zayn life, and he would choose to take him whenever he saw fit, not up to us. We learned that God really does prepare you in ways you don't even know or understand for the things that you're going to go through and experience. We learned how important having God as our rock was. I think that when we surrendered Zayn and the whole experience to God, I felt like we were being carried through the whole thing. Like literally, it's impossible to walk through that on your own. We are not strong enough to do it, but we did it only because God carried us through it. And that's what surrender is. Surrender is that complete letting go and really just letting God be God and carry you through the whole thing. And we really got to experience that, and that's something you take with you for life. You'll never forget that God can carry you through something so big and so heavy, so hard, and then all the little things are nothing. If you could get through that, you could get through anything with God. I think we learned too, I remember being in the journey and realizing this is not about me. And I know the focus was on me because I was pregnant, obviously, and carrying this baby, but it was so not about us. This was about Zayn and about God and his own journey with God. It was his life, and we just got to witness that. I think that was part of the surrender too. It's just really letting it be his journey and just, giving him the best life we could, and that's what we were called to do. Hannah surrendered her son to the Lord, which means she could live without him. But she couldn't live without him until she lived with him. And that's something I could totally relate to. Because giving Zayn back to God, I think, was not the most difficult thing, because you know that he's in the best care, he's in the best place, he's missing out on all the pain and the suffering, but we couldn't live without him until we lived with him. So we know that we are much better off. And we are grateful every day for him as much as we are for Madison. And we had 2 other babies too. We had 2 miscarriages after Zayn, and every night we thank God for all of them. Going forward, there wasn't a fear for me going into my next pregnancies. I knew anything could happen, and I wasn't ready to surrender again. I wasn't surrendered at that time. I knew what God could do, and I wasn't ready to let go, and that's what surrender is. You have to completely let go. And it took me going through those 2 more miscarriages to really take a pause and get back to that place where I remembered who God was, and I was at peace again, just trusting him going forward through another pregnancy. And not that pregnancy wasn't without fear, because it was. It took a while to be comfortable. But we have this beautiful, amazing child now. And we also know every day, like I have so many, ideas. I know everything that can go wrong with her. I'm so aware of everything, but I'm not afraid, because I know that she's in God's hands. She really belongs to him, just like Zayn did, and just like we all do. So I have peace, we have peace raising her, knowing anything could happen, but knowing that she really is God's. And you know what's a really big thing that we learned and are grateful for is just learning through Zayn that God trusts us to do some big things when he puts the kids in our care. With Zayn, knowing that God trusted us to carry him, he had this plan for his life to be so short, and he allowed it to be with us, and that is pretty amazing. And even now with Madison, just seeing her and how incredible she is, and how smart and funny, and just thinking about what in the world God's going to do with her life, and just realizing that he is trusting us to carry her, to raise her, to teach her. It's amazing, and it's awesome just to witness what God can do when you surrender.